that was being tested at that time was suffering from a horrible facial tic.
Known for his elastic expressions, fearless physical comedy, and hits like Liar Liar and Bruce Almighty, Jim Carrey became one of the most iconic performers of his generation. But behind all that brilliance was a darker truth he never shared until now. At 63, he finally reveals the 6 actors he could never forgive. The ones who humiliated him publicly, weaponized his fame against him, and even targeted his daughter into their fights. These weren't strangers, some were idols, some were colleagues he trusted, and their betrayals cut deeper than any scene he ever played. Get ready, because the reasons he hates them are even more shocking than the names themselves. Number 1, Tommy Lee Jones, the man who looked Jim Carrey in the eyes and said, "I hate you." Tommy Lee Jones earns the first spot because he did something almost nobody in Hollywood dares to do. He looked Jim Carrey straight in the face and said, "I hate you." The story was so shocking that years later, Carrey still shook his head when he recalled it. Back in 1994, Carrey was the unstoppable Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber had turned him into the hottest name in the world. Moving into Batman Forever felt like leveling up, working alongside Tommy Lee Jones, an Oscar winner he'd admired since he was young. That excitement lasted until the first week of filming. People from the crew later talked about the tension. Jones apparently complained that Carr's improv ruined the tone of scenes. He told Joel Schumacher that the movie was already clownish and Carrey's energy made it worse. Jones wouldn't even look at Carrey between takes, choosing instead to talk loudly about serious actors within earshot. Then came the night everything exploded. Carrey spotted Jones eating at a small restaurant near the Warner Brothers lot and walked over expecting a friendly hello. Carrey later retold the moment. His face just drained. He stood up, shook like he was furious, hugged me and said, "I hate you. I really don't like you. I cannot sanction your buffoonery." That was contempt. That same weekend, Dumb and Dumber crushed Jones's passion project. Cobb. Crew members said Jones took it personally, furious that Carr's nonsense comedy, as he called it, made more money in 3 days than Cobb did altogether. After that, Jones kept his distance, refused rehearsals, avoided eye contact, even asked production to separate their dressing rooms. They never reconciled. They never stood on the same stage again. For Jim Carrey, this encounter became the first brutal lesson in how cruel Hollywood egos could be. Number 2, Shia LaBeouf, the rival who went after Jim Carr's daughter. Shia LaBeouf didn't just cross a line with Jim Carrey, he stomped right over it. And it just started with a joke Carrey made on stage that wasn't even meant to hurt anyone. Carrey threw one playful jab at Shia during the 2014 Golden Globes after Shia's plagiarism scandal blew up everywhere. He stood on stage, smiled, and delivered the punchline. Dying is easy. Comedy is hard. I believe it was Shia LaBeouf who said that. So young, so wise. The room burst out laughing. Shia did not. His reaction wasn't irritating, it was furious. Instead of replying like a normal adult, Shia went for something unthinkable. He targeted Jane Carrey, Jim's daughter. He uploaded a clip of her band online with a caption that repeated old false tabloid rumors about Carr's private life. He pulled them from a Rupert Murdoch rant about Hugh Grant years earlier and swapped the names. That's how sloppy the attack was. People close to Carrey said he was stunned. Hollywood jabs are one thing, dragging family into it is another. Shia deleted the post within half an hour, then apologized in a tweet that looked rushed and embarrassed. But the damage was already done. Carrey never commented publicly again. What made the whole thing creepier was a detail fans later noticed. During that period, Shia was following exactly one person on Twitter, Jane Carrey. The moment he posted the attack, he quietly unfollowed her like nothing ever happened. This was obsession mixed with resentment, and it sealed Shia's place on Carr's blacklist permanently. Number 3, Jenny McCarthy. The relationship that turned into a battlefield. The name that hits Jim Carrey the hardest isn't a co-star or a rival. It's Jenny McCarthy. This is the one chapter he avoids in interviews. Their relationship began like every Hollywood romance headline. A funny guy meets a funny girl. Sparks fly. Cameras love it. But insiders say the turning point came shockingly early, long before the public ever sensed trouble. People who were around them in 2006 to 2007 noticed something strange. Every date night quietly doubled as an autism meeting, a vaccine discussion, or a media strategy session for Jenny's activism. Carrey didn't realize it at first. He thought he was just supporting the woman he loved. What he didn't know was that Jenny was slowly pulling him into a political storm he never intended to enter. By 2008, Carrey had become the unexpected face of the anti-vaccine movement. Not because he wanted to, but because Jenny needed his fame behind her message. He showed up at rallies, spoke at events, funded projects, and offered emotional support for her son, Evan. He had no idea how much these appearances were costing him professionally until roles started slipping away. Things got worse when Jenny pushed him toward increasingly extreme statements. Carrey hesitated. She didn't. She reportedly scolded him privately for being too soft and reminded him how many families needed his voice. The pressure was constant. Carrey finally realized his public identity had been reshaped without his permission. The breakup in April 2010 looked civil on the surface, but Hollywood knew better. The same week they split, Jenny shut down her autism school, hinting at different visions with my partner. Carrey later had planned to buy out her co-founder, but walked away from everything once he walked away from her. This was betrayal wrapped in activism, and it's the reason Jenny McCarthy stays on Carr's blacklist with no chance of return. Number 4. Mark Wahlberg, the Hollywood veteran who publicly belittled Jim Carrey. Mark Wahlberg didn't need a fight with Jim Carrey. He created one all by himself with a single sentence. The moment came during a 2009 interview when a reporter asked him about celebrities speaking out on controversial topics. Wahlberg didn't hesitate. He went straight for the jugular. Actors should shut up and just act. Everyone knew he was taking aim at Carrey, who had become entangled in the vaccine debate because of Jenny McCarthy. What made the moment sting wasn't the disagreement. It was the arrogance behind it. Wahlberg, a man with a well-documented history of street fights, arrests, and violent incidents from his teenage years, suddenly positioned himself as Hollywood's moral compass. Carrey says he didn't fire back publicly, not because he agreed, but because he couldn't believe the hypocrisy. Wahlberg built an entire early persona on rebellion and shock value, then turned around and scolded another actor for stepping outside the lines. Privately, Carrey saw the comment as Hollywood politics at its finest. What the public didn't know was that Wahlberg repeated the sentiment behind closed doors. A few months later, Wahlberg complained Carrey was hurting the industry and making actors look irresponsible. That comment circulated fast. It didn't take long before offers slowed for Carrey. While Wahlberg's career surged forward untouched, Carrey understood what was happening. Wahlberg wasn't just criticizing him. He was protecting his own image by throwing someone else under the bus. And that's exactly why Carrey has never forgotten it. Number 5. The Kardashians, the fame empire. Jim Carrey never wanted to applaud. Jim Carrey never had a personal fight with the Kardashians, yet they still managed to land a spot on his blacklist. The funny thing is, the feud began with a red carpet question that hit Carrey in the wrong way at exactly the wrong moment. It happened in 2017 at a Harper's Bazaar event celebrating so-called icons. A reporter rushed up excitedly to interview him and asked a simple question: "What brings you here tonight?" Carrey delivered a response that made the interviewer freeze. "I don't believe in icons. That's the lowest aiming possibility we could come up with." People watching the clip thought he was joking. He wasn't. The Kardashians were standing just a few feet away, being photographed as the headliners of the evening. This was the exact kind of celebrity culture he despised. Fame that didn't come from talent, but from branding, influence, and manufactured image. Seeing the Kardashians celebrated as icons was the breaking point. During that event, Carr's frustration looked genuinely disturbed watching guests swarm the Kardashians while ignoring artists with actual careers. He muttered something about living in the Truman Show for real, then walked off before the cameras even finished rolling. That wasn't the end of it. In a Vanity Fair interview 1 year later, Carrey doubled down. The phenomenon of the Kardashians, I don't think it's healthy. For him, the Kardashians symbolized a Hollywood that had lost its soul, and that was enough for him to shut the door permanently. Number 6. Will Smith. The moment that made Jim Carrey lose faith in Hollywood. Will Smith wasn't on Jim Carr's blacklist for decades. He earned his place in a single night, one that millions of people watched live. What shocked Carrey wasn't just what Will did, but what Hollywood did after. The Oscars are supposed to be the industry's proudest moment. Instead, they gave Carrey all the proof he needed that the system he worked in for 40 years had completely lost its spine. When Will Smith walked on stage and slapped Chris Rock, Carrey wasn't surprised by the act. People crack under pressure. It happens. What stunned him was the reaction that followed. A standing ovation, Carrey later said with disappointment in his voice. "I was sickened. It was the clearest indication we're not the cool club anymore." That's the part that disgusted Carrey. The performative morality, the fake unity, the obsession with image over accountability. What made Carrey completely snap was hearing people defend Will's actions backstage. A crew member told reporters he overheard an actress saying he was protecting his wife like it was some heroic moment. The next morning, Carrey delivered the statement that shook the industry. "If it were me, I'd have sued him for $200 million. That video is going to be there forever." He was pointing out the hypocrisy. A regular person would have been escorted out immediately. How about a celebrity with power? They get a trophy and applause. Since that night, Carrey hasn't been interested. In his eyes, Will Smith didn't just embarrass himself, he exposed exactly how rotten Hollywood had become. So now that Jim Carrey has finally revealed the 6 actors he'll never forgive, which story shocked you the most? And do you think any of them deserve a second chance? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss another deep dive into Hollywood's hidden truths.